REIFY, by definition, means to make real. REIFY was created to make sound real, to transform sound into something we can see, sculpt, and hold. And specifically, we want to restore the physicality of music. You guys were born into the digital era. You're used to having the entire world's record collection in your pockets for $10 a month. And with platforms like SoundCloud, Rdio, Spotify, YouTube, sharing and discovering new music has never been easier. However, the digital era has miniaturized music, and as such, made it less visible, less tactile. But what have we lost? Once upon a time, music was a multi-sensory experience. We sat around a record player with friends and listened to the entire album, collected record art, and read the liner notes. We sat around the radio and listened as a family. We carried around our radios and listened as a neighborhood. We gifted mixtapes that we believed would over for hours, or in my case, mixed CDs. But the point is, we consumed music together. And there was always a physical artifact that gave us a totem to gather around. At REIFY, we want to bring back that physicality in a completely modern way. Bring back that physicality for a digital world. Bridge the digital and the analog to create something new. So how are we doing this? We work with artists to sculpt visual interpretations of their music. We then fabricate these sculptural models, and then the audiences, you, can experience the music through the sculpture. Sounds crazy. Let me make it real for you. Let's say a musician comes to me and we take your audio and we run it through our system, and it will spit out a 3D sculpture. And then I'll work with you to infuse this sculpture with the feel of the music. And then we fabricate these sculptures. We've developed an augmented reality mobile app. It's called Stylus, so that you can actually be able to experience the sculpture as sound and the sound as sculpture. REIFY is the future vinyl, the next mixtape, the 3D music video. So why am I standing here? Who am I? Let me tell you what I'm not. I'm not a software engineer. I fell in love with technology not because I love to code or solder PCBs, but because it allowed me to make real the things that were in my head. I'm also not a musician. Though I wish I were a rock star, I'd want to be Cindy Blackman. She used to be Lenny Kravitz's drummer, and she is so rock and roll. The most rock and roll thing I've ever done is drop out of grad school like the nerd that I am. I dropped out to work on REIFY. In fact, I was hired by my co-creators as an intern when the idea was still in its nascency. I met artist Jamie Zigelbaum, an MIT Media Lab graduate, and a stellar individual. We met up for a coffee and we took a stroll. This was the first time we were meeting. I am not hired yet, and I barely let him get a word in. I went on and on about how I wanted to use technology to connect us to our environment, enhance our experience of reality through our senses. He shook my hand, he said, "Good luck," and I was fairly certain I would never hear from him again. And about a week or so later, he called me and said, "I think I have the perfect project for you. Can you come meet Era and I tomorrow?" Era's our other co-creator, also a stellar individual, and that's when the project, formerly known as Printed Sound, began. We were printing FFT data then. FFT data is essentially an algorithm that takes the time and frequency of an audio file. Here we have a violin sonata, a baby's goo goo gaga, and JFK's presidential inaugural speech. I don't know about you, but I'm not moved by these forms. They don't express the feeling of the audio. I wanted to create a new visual language, one that captured not only the sound, but the human experience of it. I've been able to build REIFY because I put the idea out there. I acted on it. I was selected to be a member of the New Museum incubator, where I met Kay Gowda, chief awesome technologist and creative soul. We partnered up, and before I knew it, I had a team of people around me, people who didn't have the skills that I had. I had software engineers, sound engineers, musicians, other artists, and other designers. Stephen Johnson said, "Chance favors the connected mind." And in our case, that couldn't be truer. We find ourselves perfectly positioned to explore this synthesis of the digital and the physical because of advancements in technology. It's in the ether. What does the future hold? What does it look like? Why stop at music? What if you could see a baby's first words the same way you see a photograph? What would a Maya Angelou poem look like? What would it feel like? What if we could see deep space sound? What if we could hold deep space sound? What if we turn this whole thing on its head and you could hear the sound from every painting at the MoMA? What if we could reify other data sets like air quality, brain waves, and even time? That's what we're after, creating new kinds of synesthesia, using technology to bring our senses together, not isolate them. Thank you.